This is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and all things Chicago Blackhawks. With your hosts, Jordan Linscott, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato. This is the Stick Blade Podcast.
It's the end of the season awards for the Stick Blade Podcast. We don't cover every single team, just the Detroit Red Wings and Chicago Blackhawks, because that's all we cover. It's the season awards. Bum, bum, bum.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Once again, David Barnhouse knocking it out of the park.
Thank you.
Absolute Grammy nominee.
Thank you.
5 gold stars, 5 gold stars. That being said, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. It is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings, all things Chicago Blackhawks, and news around the NHL. Tonight, we have a very special show for you all. The NHL Awards is sort of a thing where the league gathers around and says, we want to give awards to these standout players for various reasons, different positions, all sorts of awards for really special players and people. But you know what? This podcast, we cover the Blackhawks and the Red Wings specifically. And you know what? Why don't we give the hometown teams a little bit of love? I mean, why not, right? They're really two of the best clubs, history speaking, through the NHL. So let's give them some love. It seems like, in this midst of a rebuild, there's not a lot of bright spots to talk about, but let's talk about some bright spots that the teams had this season.
Well, Jordan, that's absolutely correct. This is a chance to look back on two teams that are original six, historically, culturally rich teams that might not be doing so hot right now. But we can find those individual little victories. That's been the theme all year, little victories. And this is our chance to go back, acknowledge the little bright spots in these darker years, and a chance to sort of hang loose, have a little fun, and give back, and say thanks to all of you that have continued to watch and listen and follow us throughout the year. We know the teams aren't super exciting right now, but we still love them. We're still going to talk about them. And where would we be without the people that listen to us talk about them? So thank you. We're very excited to have this first annual award show.
We are. And, besides us hosts, Jordan Linscott, myself, David Barnhouse, Tim Stompanato, and Nick LePage, tonight we're also going to be joined by Darren McCarty, Nick Lidstrom, Sergei Fedorov, Steve. What's that? Oh, they're not logging into Zoom because they have no idea who we are. I guess it's just us tonight, just us schmucks. So thank you all for joining us. Yeah. So Jordan, what are our awards for tonight?
All right, so kind of in the vein of, the NHL awards, we have a couple of awards that we would like to give to Blackhawks and Red Wings players. Again, it's little victories, right? These teams are both rebuilding. The Chicago Blackhawks are coming out of, their humongous cup era where they were in the playoffs and really cup favorites for a handful of years. The Red Wings have, a whole new management group in the form of Steve Yzerman, and they're really working their way back to that spot of being able to be a playoff team, a true contender. But neither team is really at that spot yet where they're going to have playoff success. But you know what? That doesn't mean that you can't celebrate good things that the clubs are doing. And the clubs are actually doing a couple good things. And we kind of want to celebrate some of the good things that the clubs are doing. So let's go ahead and just walk through some of the awards that we're going to be handing out tonight. The first award that we're going to be giving out is the Nick Lidstrom and Keith Magnuson Award. This award is given to the best defenseman for either the Chicago Blackhawks or the Detroit Red Wings. So you know what? There are already two of us Red Wings hosts here. So let's go ahead and give out the Nick Lidstrom Award. This is for the best defenseman this season for the Detroit Red Wings.
I thought we weren't going through the awards yet. Let's introduce what they all are first.
We can do that.
That's not a bad idea, David. Why don't we give the people a sample of what we're going to be dishing out to them this night? Give them the menu before we start rolling out the entrees. Am I correct?
Yeah,
I want to look over the gun
menu
a little bit. Speaking of guns, the Young Gun Award. The Young Gun Award is going to be an award that we give to the best prospect or rookie performance this year. Basically, the player who, you look at and say he's a very young player. He has a lot of potential with these clubs. And just sort of let's acknowledge, these players who have put in the work, have been putting in the reps, have been putting in the effort, and look like they're going to be very good players for the teams moving forward. We also have what we call the Terry Sawchuk Tony Esposito Award. This is the award that goes to the best goaltender this season for both clubs, both legendary goaltenders who have had their numbers retired with their respective organizations. Who else can you name the awards after? And you know what? Both clubs actually had great goaltending this season. There weren't a lot of bright spots for either club, but you know what? These teams both did have really good goaltending for the vast majority of this season. And we want to talk about that goaltending that both clubs had. Then we're going to give an award that we call the brick. We always hear this phrase, cornerstone pieces for rebuilds or core pieces. The brick is an award that we give to a player who basically solidified themselves as a building block for their organization going forward. Players who you look at and you say, this player really proved that they could be a very legitimate team player for this organization when they're done with their rebuild or when they're just coming out of their rebuild. And so I think it's notable to talk about a player who's done that respectively for their organization this year. We also have what we call the season puck. At the end of every game, players get given some sort of award, usually in the locker room for the best performer of the night, right? But you know what? The season puck is something that we can give to the player who had the best season of any team or any player on the team. It's an award that says this player really stepped up overall, whether that was in the games, in the locker room, speaking to media, handling situations with either club. It's really just sort of the MVP sort of award for the organization. And then also we're going to do what we call the uncovered diamond, the player who, they sort of just became a gem this season, who at the start of the season, we didn't really know what they were and just said, hey, I'm here. I'm a good player. I'm going to stick around. And this is what I'm going to be. A player who really took off this season. And, that's pretty much going to be it. We have 6 awards to hand out in total. I'm sorry that unfortunately Nick LePage is not here. He is still counting some of the ballots, but you know what? We can still hand out these awards because you know what? The players deserve them.
I heard, from our fellow Chicago host, Tim Stompanato, that he was mailing in ballots. Now, I heard on the street that as he was opening his mailbox to mail in the ballots, 2 rattlesnakes jumped out and bit up square in the eyes.
Now, I just want to go on record and say I can neither confirm nor deny the rattlesnake incident. That said, I know my Chicago counterpart, Nick LePage, is doing fine. There is barely any venom left in his eyes.
Good.
The rattlesnakes have been under control. Again, cannot confirm or deny any rattlesnakes. However, I can confirm the ballots have been counted. I can confirm the snakes did vote. And I can confirm that our comrade will be here with ballots, with votes, and ready with a smile on his face.
Hopefully his eyes are.
Yeah, hopefully not bandaged eyes as well.
That would be hard to communicate with.
Now, that said, Jordan, this might be a perfect time for an ad break.
We have ads?
We don't quite have ads yet. We don't have sponsors yet. However, with our imaginations, we could imagine what one might sound like.
My name's Troy Stetcher, and when I'm off the ice, not hitting people and shooting pucks, I wear Skechers. Skechers shoes, sponsored by Tony Romo. Troy Stetcher doesn't wear those shape-ups because if a GM saw me wearing those shape-ups, I would never get another contract. But what I do enjoy is the nice memory foam inserts and the nice walking and designs on my Skechers. I wear Skechers. You should too, or I'll fight you.
And that would be what would have been our first ad break. Speaking of eyes with the steak incident, let's go ahead and jump into our first award. There's always this saying, how does a player see the ice? How does a player see the game? You know what? One of the biggest positions that arguably your eyes is your best asset, the goaltender position. You have to be able to see the entire ice, everything in front of you. You're tracking this tiny little puck and trying to make sure it doesn't go past. Let's go ahead and just jump into the Terry Sawchuk and Tony Esposito Award. Again, this is the award for the best goaltender for each organization this year. And we're just going to talk about a little bit why we think that this player deserves this award. So, Tim, I kind of started it off a little bit. Why don't you go ahead and just jump into the Tony Esposito Award for me?
Oh, gosh, I would be happy to do so, Jordan. Thank you. Now, I got to say, going into this year, Goaltending was one of our biggest question marks. We had two-time Stanley Cup champion Corey Crawford technically take another contract with another team, but he then did retire and he didn't play another game with that team. So he retired to Blackhawk. We don't even count that other contract, but it left us with a lot of question marks, a lot of unproven goalies. We had three kids, relative unknowns, one of which, Malcolm Subban had been around the league a little bit, been working as a backup. Colin Delia had come up through the ranks with us. And we had Kevin Lankinen, who started out the year as our number 3 goalie, number 1 in Rockford, but number 3 on the depth chart. And boy, I've got to tell you, the Tony Esposito Award for me has to go to Kevin Lankinen, a goalie that when he did get his chance, he hit the ice running and he never looked back. He made it such a fight to say, I know we want to do a 3 goalie rotation. I know we want to see what everyone has. I'm going to make sure that you don't feel like you can take me out. And he did. Now, that said, I know that later in the season, his numbers started to dip a little, but that's because we ran him into the ground because he was our best option. And so when he was fresh, even halfway through the season, when he wasn't so fresh, Kevin Lankinen is the reason that we were in a lot of the games we were in. And that's why, for me, he's got to be my Tony Esposito Award nominee.
This was Kevin Lankinen's first nomination and first win of the night.
Again, unfortunately, because of the fact that Nick is not with us right now, he cannot attest to what his actual winner is, but we would assume that Kevin Lankinen would again be the winner. Kevin Lankinen established himself as a definitive starter this season at the beginning of the season. Again, a rookie who came pretty far up the depth chart, was stealing games, playing very strong for a rookie, at points was in line for potential Calder votes. Really, this Tony Esposito Award should go to Kevin Lankinen. David, do you have any qualms?
No, I feel like out of the 3 goalies that they had, he was the one that stood out to me the most.
The other award, the Terry Sawchuk Award, this is the award that goes to the best Red Wings goaltender this season, and I don't think that it's going to be a very big surprise. Jonathan Bernier, the man who is putting up great, fantastic numbers in Detroit, playing in front of what is admittedly a not very strong group, but you know what? Very much winning and standing on his head a lot of the nights, never really being the reason that Detroit lost their games.
I mean, technically it's kind of tough for us, more tough than for Chicago, because I think out of the 3 for Chicago, Lankinen's the one that really stood out.
Right.
But no disrespect to Thomas Greiss. He was great this season in the games that he played. He had some highlight reel saves. But between the 2, I think, much like Jordan said, it would be Jonathan Bernier. Bernier stood out the most. He stood on his head the most. He kept us in games we had no right being in. I think there was a Tampa game where he had 30-something saves before they finally scored a goal on us. Ridiculous numbers he put up. And I know Jordan and I, we've talked about this before, but had he been on any contending team, he most likely would have been a finalist for the Vezina Trophy. But because he was on the Detroit Red Wings, who have been struggling, it's overlooked. You don't look at those players when they're on those teams. You're not going to nominate a Dylan Larkin, even if he puts up great numbers, for the Hart Trophy, the MVP. It's not going to happen. But yeah, I think we both agree. Bernie gets it. This is Bernie's first and second nomination and second win.
Phenomenal choices, absolutely. And like you said, Thomas Greiss was fantastic this year. He really was. Both of your goalies stood on their heads plenty of times for the team, but Bernier just repeatedly stood out as someone that really not only kept you in games, but made you competitive in games and stole some games for you all. I think this is an excellent choice, and it's good to see him getting some acknowledgement of the work that he did this year.
The next award that we can move on to is the Nick Lidstrom and Keith Magnuson Award. This award goes to the best defenseman on both the Chicago Blackhawks and the Detroit Red Wings. We'll go ahead and start with the Red Wings this time. The Nick Lidstrom Award, again, the best defenseman on the Detroit Red Wings. he started the season very hot, admittedly cooled down towards the end of the season. Philip Hronik, the man who stepped into the Detroit Red Wings last season in a big way, logging tons of minutes, continuing to log lots of minutes this season, looks to be a definitive offensive top pair guy if he can very much get a supporting cast, which it looks like he's going to, spoiler alert. But that being said, Philip Hronik, I think, was the best defenseman for Detroit, putting up great numbers, putting up great possession. And you know what? Logging lots of minutes like Nick Lidstrom did. Now, I really think, aside from him, there's not really a big choice pool.
I mean, he didn't wear the sweater for the Wings, but I would have totally given it to Sider if I could, because he was a human highlight reel for the team he played for in the SHL, whose name escapes me. If I wasn't going to give it to Hronik, which I'm giving my award to Hronik because he is currently our number one defenseman, it would have been probably a guy like John Merrill, who was a phenomenal defensive defenseman, who we traded away to now the Stanley Cup Finals team of the Montreal Canadiens. But he didn't play for us the full season, so I'm not going to give it to him. I'm going to go with, like what you said, with Hronik. He has great offensive numbers. He's working on his defensive game. I think he'll have a nice compliment in the offseason. We'll probably try to sign someone to help back him up, because I don't think we're going to put him and Sider together right away. I think they're going to be split for right now. But in my opinion, unless we draft an Edvinsson or someone else, I think our future top pair will be Hronik and Sider. So yeah, with that, the PA announcer is about to come on, guys. Hold on a second. This is Philip Hronik's first and second nomination and first and second win. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And absolutely, I know that I don't follow the Red Wings as diehard as the two diehard fans. That said, Hronik was on my fantasy hockey team this year and was the deciding factor in several games for me. So I too would have to cast a vote for Hronik if I was eligible to vote for this award.
Get out.
The Keith Magnuson Award is the award that goes to the best defenseman for the Chicago Blackhawks this season. The Blackhawks had a couple very good defensemen this season who surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true. It's always hard to go through and figure out who actually gets this award, because it's easy to become a legacy award. It's easy to become a name recognition award, and that's not what we want this to be. This is an acknowledgement of the best two-way defenseman that can take care of both ends of the ice, someone who's defensively responsible, somebody that can chip in offensively and keep transition movement going, someone that can be relied on all across the ice and has leadership potential. That said, I wanted to give this award to Duncan Keith, but I'm afraid that who I actually have to cast my award for this year, it's got to be Connor Murphy. Consistently throughout the year, he has been our best defenseman, our most reliable defenseman, someone that when he's out of the lineup, we are significantly worse, and it is noticeable. He wore the A on his chest a lot of the year, and I think that it really showed why. He has been a commanding force on the ice and off the ice in his leadership and intangibles that he brings to it. Hits, blocks, chipping in on the transition game. He's done all of it. It's got to go to Connor Murphy.
This is Connor Murphy's first nomination and first award.
I mean, great points, Tim. Like you said, this could be one of those things where it's a name recognition award, but really, I think Connor Murphy is the best defenseman from the Blackhawks this season. A guy who is putting up very good numbers for you guys. Is he, the franchise level? No, but very good. Still very good, very serviceable, playing a very good top four game. And when Duncan Keith retires, as we all know will happen, and eventually someone's going to have to be the successor, Connor Murphy can be a very good leadership guy on the defensive blue line for Chicago, and not even just, verbally in the locker room. His play was very good this season.
He bridges a remarkable gap between the veterans on the team and the young guns, and what he brought was a stability that we just don't see in a lot of other areas of the team right now. So to me, it was a tough call, but it was an obvious call.
Very good. Was that our second award?
That was indeed our second award.
Indeed.
The third award that we're going to be giving is the brick, as we call it.
Ah, yes.
As we
The
mentioned, both
brick.
clubs are in the middle of in the middle of rebuilding. It's not really a secret because both management groups have came out and publicly said that these clubs are rebuilding. But you know what? In the middle of a rebuild, guess what? You're going to find core players who are going to be there when you're out of the rebuild. And Detroit and Chicago had some players who looked like they're going to be bricks, so to speak, when these rebuilds are over. Um, Tim, why don't you go ahead and talk us through who you think really cemented themselves as a brick for Chicago when they are done with this rebuild this year?
Jordan, I would be happy to talk about that. Thank you. You know, something that's big in the Chicago Blackhawks rebuild is finding those cornerstone pieces who can pass the torch from Jonathan Tays, Patrick Kane, Duncan Keith, down to the next era of cup contenders. And to me, the person we have found this year that truly cemented their path as a cornerstone and a building block of this next era was Alex DeBrincat. He had a phenomenal rookie season, and then he had a bit of a sophomore slump, one that made people pretty concerned about the fact that, like, how is it going to be cashing in on this? He signed this new contract that's going to be moving forward. Is he actually a one-hit wonder? Is he going to regress? He proved everyone wrong this year and came back with a vengeance. Not only was he still the phenomenal sniper and goal scorer that he is, his two-way play was well-rounded this year. He has developed more defensive responsibility. He's getting into board battles and winning them. He is all over the ice, and he's ready to mix it up, get to those dirty areas, along with being a pure goal scorer and someone who's creative with the puck. It's what you want. You can't build, unless you're Alex Ovechkin, you can't build around a one-dimensional player. And watching DeBrincat round himself out and say, okay, scoring's going to come and go. What do I do without the puck? And going that next step. He also wore an A this year as an alternate captain. And I'm thrilled with the way he progressed. I'm thrilled with his on and off ice play. It's got to go to Alex DeBrincat as a cornerstone, as a real brick of our future.
This is Alex DeBrincat's first nomination and first award.
You'll love to see it.
Good for him, man. I mean, the cat. Loved watching him. Not when he played against us, but loved watching him.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember how many goals Alex DeBrincat had. What was it, 2 seasons ago? He had like 30-something goals, right? It was a very high number.
I think I think he had 40 goals one year.
Either way, and very, very good and respectable goal numbers. And the measure of a player, sure, you can look at, goals and assists and say, this is what this player is worth. But you know what? Like you said, there's a lot of time on the ice where you don't have the puck and you need to make good decisions without it. And Alex DeBrincat was making good decisions this season. And good decisions away from the puck mean good decisions with the puck. It's all a circle. And Alex DeBrincat was helping the circle move. That's why the production came back this season.
Sure.
Just very good growth.
Yeah.
David, who would you say established himself as a brick, so to speak, for Detroit this season?
Be good.
So I had to think about this, went in my brain. I went on a little spirit quest.
Okay.
It was, instead of letting the rattlesnakes bite me in the eyes, I bit them in the eyes.
Ah, yes.
I think about this classic rattlesnake attack, And even though he didn't finish the season, I think my brick for the Red Wings this season was the D-Boss, the captain, Dylan Larkin. Now, you might think, oh, he's not a young guy. He's not this, he's not that. Why are you picking him? Because he was named the captain this year. That was the seal from Steve Yzerman, Chris Draper, whoever else is in charge, that this is your team and we are going to build it around you. You are the leader, you are the captain, and you are the key component to this team functioning and working. So Dylan Larkin, I think, took some good first steps as a leader of this Detroit Red Wings. He has, a C on his chest, but the weight of all the other people that have worn this C before him. Henrik Zetterberg, Nick Lidstrom, Steve Eiserman, the list goes on and on and on and on. But I think he is our brick.
Okay. I'm going to give the brick to a different player. I'm going to give it to Michael Rasmussen, a player who very much struggled in his rookie season out of draft with the Red Wings, who you could tell definitely needed to put on a little bit more skill and was able to really develop and get that skill set down at the NHL level. This season he came in and we expected some okay things, but you know what? Michael Rasmussen really stepped up this season. He was hard on the puck. He was skating faster. He was willing to go to the boards and get physical with guys. He was able to make plays happen more often. He really took a lot of strides forward. And even if he just develops as a third line centerman, second line winger, he really took a lot of great strides forward this season in saying, hey, I'm a dependable player. I will work hard and I will help produce. And good on him. A lot of question marks when he got drafted at 9th overall. And admittedly, I was one of them. I looked at them and said, I'm not sure about this kid at 9th overall, but you know what? He's starting to prove the naysayers wrong. Excellent.
This is Dylan Larkin and Michael Rasmussen's first nominations and first wins. So Jordan, Rasmussen was actually on my list. He was probably my second choice as the brick because of what you said, because of the strides he took and improvements he took. But I looked at the awards and I thought about him and I said, he's great. But my reasoning for the brick was my reasoning. Dylan Larkin became the captain of this team. Is his team, it revolves around him. He is the center cog, the piece that we are going to move around. So that's why I picked him over Rasmussen.
Okay. And that's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's perfectly valid reasoning for giving Dylan Larkin the brick status, so to speak.
Tim, what are your thoughts on our choices?
Well, it's tough. I've been a big Rasmussen supporter. You've heard me talk about it. He's actually one of the guys that I do follow. For some reason, I found him a fascinating prospect a couple years back, and I've tried to, keep up with how he's gone with the Red Wings. That said, I have to side with David in the sense of when we are looking at a building block, someone that you build a team around, and as a cornerstone of the team, I look at Rasmussen as a Dave Boland type, or maybe a Brian Bickle type in his prime. Phenomenal complementary pieces that you need to win a cup. Great guys. But are they who you build your team around? And for me, he could be. He could very well be. He's got the size. He's developing the skill. But Dylan Larkin has been establishing himself throughout the years. And you're right, with getting the C, he now is it. Eiserman essentially did say, you are the son with promise. You are the prodigal Red Wing, and we're going to build around you. I have to give it to Dylan Larkin.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair. Again, perfectly
I
good
love
reasons,
the
though.
Rasmussen choice. Honestly, I was afraid that we'd have a whole list of everybody choosing the same person. I love the Rasmussen pick, though.
Yeah. So that was our third award of 6. Tim,
Third award of 6. Well, I'd say that's about halfway through the awards. And, well, if we had sponsors, that would be time for an ad break. David, why don't we put on our imagination hats for a quick second and wonder what kind of ad break we might have with our potential sponsors?
Okay. Do you like breakfast? Do you like drinks? Well, this is, Brandon Hagel, and I'm the owner of Hagel's Bagels. I like to start my mornings with a nice morning skate. And afterwards, I got on to Hagel's Bagels and I get myself an everything jalapeno bagel with some cream cheese, some lox, and some bacon. If you can't get enough bagels and you want more, we also got Bloody Marys, just like I bloody up my opponents. Hagel's Bagels.
That was vivid. Thank you. That painted a picture with your words, and my brain translated into quite a picture.
I like when your brain translates things, get me happy.
Speaking of Brandon Hagel, I'm going to foreshadow a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into the Uncovered Diamond Award.
Oh, am I that
award
obvious?
is an award that we give to the player who showed the best improvement this season, the player who maybe took those extra steps forward that a lot of people didn't expect them to take forward and really helped establish themselves. We'll go ahead and start off with the Red Wings this time. The Uncovered Diamond Award that I'm going to give, I try to give him the Brick Award. I'm gonna say it again though. Michael Rasmussen, a player who we all had okay expectations going to the season with, but really did step into his own again a lot harder on the forecheck. He was playing better hockey positions. He was taking more responsibility, playing harder, helping get more of the offense going, and saying, "Hey, I want to stick around here," and was putting up production. I think that, again, at 9th overall, a lot of fans, and myself included, were questionable about that pick. But again, he kind of did help, make a case for himself, saying, "I'm going to be a long-term piece for the Detroit Red Wings. I want to be here." And he's a gem who, after the first season that we saw him out of draft, we weren't sure about, but did show some great shine this season.
This is a tough one for me.
David looks unconvinced.
No, it was a tough one for me because there was a few I could have choose from. I was about to go opposite of you and pick, Philip Zadina as, fantastic player. We've seen him do some things. We've seen him grow immensely. But I'm actually, if you guys look at the chat,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to agree with you, Jordan. And I'm also going to give my uncovered gem, diamond in the rough, whatever you want to metaphorically call it, give it to Rasmussen as well, because he was a player I kind of forgot about past couple seasons. I thought, we drafted him 9th overall, should be great. And he just didn't impress when he first showed up with the Wings. He was a little small for as big as he's supposed to be. And I thought to myself, well, he went back down to the Griffins. That might be it for him. But he got his chance this year, and he grabbed that bull by the horns and said, "F you, bull. I'm Michael Rasmussen." And he, grabbed it and chucked it. And he, I think, was one of our, best shining players of the season. I think Blashill said he was our most improved, best player of the season. Whatever he said, I don't trust the Blashill blender. That guy can go away. But the kid's great, and I hope he continues to make strides and improve more and more. And do I think he'll be a top line center or a second line center? Probably not. But I think he is going to be a key piece in a deep roster for the Red Wings. I mean, you look at teams like Tampa, Vegas, they are very deep teams where every player has their role. The Red Wings have guys like Luke Glendening, who hopefully we keep and fills his role. Rasmussen was probably one of our biggest surprises and best players of the season. And I hope he continues to grow and find his place in this team for when we are a challenging and competing team. So Rasmussen has now been awarded 3 awards.
Rah, rah, Rasmussen. I love it.
Tim, how about you? Who is the uncovered diamond for the Chicago Blackhawks this season?
Well, now it's such a tough thing because we had a lot of rookies, young players, unknowns. There was a lot of people who came out of the woodwork and really hit the ice, running. I came close to giving it to Wyatt Kalynuk, who we signed him as a college free agent. He didn't sign with Philly. We signed him out of college, and it took him a while to get into the lineup. But once he got in, he never left. He really shone as one of our top most responsible defenders as the season went on. That said, I would be derelict in my duties as a host of this podcast if I did not bring up and award this award to the true diamond in the rough, the hidden gem. Brandon Hagel was an absolute treat to watch. A guy that got one game at the end of last year, right before the pandemic hit, wasn't a lock. We thought he might be, kind of like Matthew Highmore, a bottom 6 guy. And this guy came in and said, no. I'm here and I'm going to work my ass off and I'm going to make sure I stay here. And he did. He out hustled, outmaneuvered. He was an absolute maniac on the ice every game. People asked, when are you going to be able to take a shift off? He said, maybe 10, 15 years, maybe. He's got the work ethic and the hustle, and he's got some skill and he's got the speed to back it up for sure. And he showed his skill as the season went on. He showed up in some big clutch overtime goals, 3-on-3. We trusted him out there. He could work up and down the lineup. Andrew Shaw said that he saw a lot of himself in Hagel. How do I not give this award to the actual legitimate diamond in the rough hidden gem that even the coaching staff and team were like, we had no idea what we were getting with this guy and we got the best? It's got to be Brandon Hagel. We can't overthink it.
Of course. I mean, I love the guy, and I'm not a Blackhawks fan. I mean, he makes a mean bagel, and he just has that grit, that determination to just outwork everybody. That's what he is. That's his mentality. That's his motto. Outwork everyone. And if you guys somehow screw it up and don't hold on to him,
why would you even? We're having a nice time.
I mean, I'll offer you Darren Helm and a pack of, Big Red chewing gum for him.
How big's the Big Red pack?
Family size.
Okay, now listen, let's sidebar after the show about that.
Okay. Rattlesnakes.
Brandon Hagel was such a gem for the Blackhawks this season. I stand by it in the way that Luke Glendening has really been a key piece for Detroit these past couple of years during their rebuild, helping players develop and being able to really continue to work regardless of where they're at in the standings. Brandon Hagel could be that sort of player for Chicago, the guy who these younger players will be looking to. And Brandon Hagel himself is very young, still has a lot more to grow into, but could be one of those guys who you look at and everybody else around the locker room looks at him and says, he's not taking shifts off. How can I?
This is Brandon Hagel's first nomination and first win.
That's a win for intangibles right there.
That's a win for America.
But really, that is an intent. Like we hear all the time coaches say he's got intangibles. Brandon Hagel really does have the intangibles of a winner or of a good locker room player, like Luke Glendening, a player who David and I will sing his praises for forever because of the fact that those intangibles, they really do matter. You can justify a contract to that player because the intangibles are there.
Yeah. I mean, you go to a Webster's dictionary or an Urban Dictionary, and you type in intangibles, you get a picture of Brandon Hagel or Luke Glendening. And if you go to Urban Dictionary, you get a picture of them in a sentence that's not safe for work.
I was going to say I might have to go to Urban Dictionary and type in intangibles after this. And boy, I hope my safe search is on.
Speaking of younger players in the form of Brandon Hagel, we can move on to the Young Gun Award. This is the award that we give to the best young player, whether it be a prospect, whether it be a rookie, or just a player who's coming through the pipeline and that we look at and say, yeah, this player looks by all means to be a definitive piece for our franchises moving forward, who, as long as things pan out, is going to be a very fun player to watch. Tim, who in the Blackhawks organization are you looking at and saying, this kid's going to be a young gun, he's going to be a star, this kid is going to be a player who I want to get his jersey in a couple of years?
You know what's interesting? I did a lot of thinking about this award and who to give it to. Simply from the team this year, when we look at like rookies, I could pick all sorts. I could say, I think Boquist is going to be that person. I think Pius Suter really jumped in and took that first line center position and ran with it. Philip Kurashev had a phenomenal year. That said, there were so many rookies to spread things out that I actually ended up focusing on a prospect, someone who hasn't played a game with the Blackhawks yet, but he did sign his first
Does
contract.
that count?
You said prospect, right?
Yeah, prospects.
Yeah, well, what do you think I am doing? Doing an illegal pick?
It just broke my brain because I had my pick, and now I'm just like, what do I do? I might have to split my award between two people.
I almost did. That said, when I'm thinking about young gun who could be in a few years a cornerstone piece, someone who could be an active part of contributing to a deep playoff team, I got to go with Lucas Reichel. I'm hyped. He was our 17th overall pick last year. Very, very hyped with his progression over this past year. He was little small, he was lanky, hadn't filled out his body, but he was still playing with men at 17, which is a feat in and among itself. And this year, not only did he hold his own and be an active contributor on a pretty deep Berlin team that then moved into the playoffs, and he was a deep playoff contributor with them, he was also shifting from wing to center, which is a harder position with a lot more responsibility. And he has run with everything that he's gotten, every opportunity. He's built muscle, and he's not done yet. He is still growing, and he's still working. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar. I don't personally think that he is going to be yet, but we've said this a couple of times. There is nothing wrong with being the third best person on the first line. And that's what I think that Reichel could be. I think that he could be a really solid second line driver, or that person on the first line that is complementing the people that are driving it. I am very hyped to see. I think that Reichel's going to get every opportunity for the team next year. I think if he does start in Rockford, it's not going to be the end of the world. It'll be good to get him used to North American ice. But that said, I am excited, and I am excited to give the Young Gun Rookie Award to Lucas Reichel.
Now, if I may intercede real quick, Jordan,
Please.
as a founding member of the SBAC, or the Stick Blade Awards Committee, we call this the Young Guns Award. How do you feel about this award being a two award? One for a player that hasn't worn the logo on the sweater, so to speak, and one player who has worn it, a young rookie or a player who just started out with the team. So he gave the guy that hasn't worn the Blackhawks logo. How about now he can give one to a player that has worn it a very, very short time?
I think it's fair. I mean, as the award is called, it's called the Young Guns Award. Guns is plural.
Many guns, yes.
So, Tim, I like your the first guns that you gave of a player who has yet to don the Blackhawk sweater. Hopefully he pans out for you, just like some of the players we have. I now want to ask,
please,
a player that has only worn the Blackhawk sweater for a very short time, who do you pick for this gun?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I, again, put a lot of thought into this one as well. My big kicker is, who out of the young guns, the rookies this year, do I think are actually going to stay with the team? But let's take that out of the equation. Let's base it off of 1 year and hoping that management sees it fit to work things out and figure them out. I think, and again, I've been very forward heavy because I would put Boqvist in this position, but he played almost the entire season last year. I really can't count him as a young gun rookie, even though he is only 20 years old. And I do expect him to become a high-powered offensive defenseman. I still am high on Boqvist. That said, off of pure rookie year, what I think that they brought to the table and the team, and what I hope to see from them moving forward, I have to go with Pius Suter. I was very, very impressed with how a guy that we picked up to be a complimentary scorer and winger ended up the first line center between Alex DeBrincat and Patrick Kane. He had no business being there. And yet he said, okay, I guess we'll make this work. And he ended up a phenomenal pivot and complementary piece on that line. I was blown away. I know that, again, offense comes and goes and scoring dries up. He was repeatedly getting people and putting the puck in the right position. And I had an absolute blast watching him in his rookie season. I love Boquist. I will fight to the death for Boquist. And the merits of this award, I'm going with Pius Suter.
And
Oh,
very
very great
interesting choice on
choices.
Pius Suter.
Yeah. This is Reichel and Suter's first nominations and first wins in the Young Guns.
Y'all put me on the spot here. I came with one gun.
So, Jordan, if I may, go with mine. That's all right with you.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to flip it compared to what you did, Tim. I'm going to go with the guy who has donned the winged wheel, but only for a short time first. And then I'll go into someone who has yet to don the winged wheel. So my first choice, the man that has donned the wheel for a short time, the man who said when he was angry about not being drafted where he was supposed to be drafted, that he was going to fill their nets with pucks. And that man is little Z himself. Well, now the only Z, because Henrik Zetterberg is gone, Philip Zadina. I could not believe my ears when we drafted Philip Zadina. I remember the night perfectly. It was my turn to put my newborn down. He was only a couple weeks old. And I'm rocking him, and I have my headphones in, and I'm listening to the draft as it's playing on the TV app I have. And the third pick comes, and it's not Zadina. He was the projected third pick.
That's right.
And I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure we're going to get Quinn Hughes, but I would kill to get Zadina. Fourth pick happens, not Zadina. I'm starting to panic as I'm rocking my child. I don't want to wake him because you don't want to wake a newborn baby. Pick 5 happens, and it's not Zadina. I am ecstatic. I had to walk my sleeping child out of his bedroom and pace up and down the hall, thinking to myself, oh my God, is this really happening? And yes, he didn't really play much for us the first season, but that's classic Red Wings. We didn't really play rookies right away. Unlike Buffalo, the dumpster fire of a team that ruins people's careers, we like to let our guys develop and grow. And Zadina, we all saw him as this one-way player. All he's going to do is shoot the puck, shoot the puck, shoot the puck, shoot the puck. But he developed into a very special two-way player who I think, if Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, you had said he had better defensive stats than Rasmus Dahlin, who was supposed to be the next big defenseman. Am I right in that?
That is absolutely 100% correct. When looking at defensive starts for players, Philip Zadina, based on the players around him, has arguably the best defensive stats of any player, and that includes number 1 overall pick Rasmus Dahlin as
He's in
a
the dumpster
forward.
Fire. Yes, in the dumpster fire of Buffalo. I mean, still. Zadina has yet to become this, fill your nets with pucks kind of guy because he's been improving his all-around game. And he's not even in his prime yet. He's still a kid. Imagine in a couple of years when we're contending, the threat he is going to be. He could develop into an elite goal scoring / defensive forward star. I think it was one of the first couple of games this season. He had a no-look pass to Bobby Ryan to score a goal. He knew exactly where to put the puck. That's scary. I was terrified because I'm just thinking to myself, holy crap, imagine if we put players around him when we become a contending team, a Lucas Raymond, a Joe Veleno, whoever, that are guys that are also playmakers. Imagine the damage they can do to teams. So that's my guy right there that's donned the wing wheel. For someone who has yet to don the wing wheel, but we're pretty confident is going to be wearing it next year, is someone I know you all know who I'm going to pick. And that is the human highlight reel, the destructive force the bringer of pain and death, Moritz Seider. When Steve Eisman drafted Moritz Seider, I scratched my head. Who is this guy? He wasn't who I saw in the mock drafts that I looked at, the Tankathons, the CBS, whoever's. And I'm thinking to myself, what is Eisman doing? I mean, I trust the Eisman plan. But at the same time, I'm thinking, who is this guy we just drafted? I'm an idiot. I'll be the first to tell you that. I'm a big, stupid idiot. Because you should always trust Eiserman. He is the captain. He is the man. And he saw something in this kid. And now we've all seen it. If you pay attention to the Twitters, the Reddits, you'll see a video pop up pretty much daily in the SHL of Moritz Seider just bodying, just destroying grown-ass men. Not kids, grown-ass men. He literally used someone to hit someone. I'll say that again. He used someone to hit someone else. Imagine what he's going to do, even at like 75 or 80% of what he showed in the SHL, in the NHL. Opposing teams should be fearful to skate into his area because he will hurt you. He is smart. He is defensive minded. He can spring up on the offense as well. And I can't wait to see him destroy people like Patrick Kane. Sorry, Nick or Tim, whoever.
That would never. He's a star. I mean, you can't touch him legally.
Get out of his way because he's gonna hurt you. Choo choo, side train coming through.
That's why we're gonna have to sign Zadorov.
Those are my picks.
Very fair picks. The young gun player for the Red Wings, I love Philip Zadina. I bought a jersey of his the first time I saw him play in Detroit in person.
Nice.
I think he's going to be a very special player. It's so easy to hype kids like that, though. And I remember where I was at when I heard Philip Zadina got drafted by the Red Wings too. I had just gotten out of Yeah, the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom movie. And I was talking to my fiance's dad, and he said, I'm looking at the draft, and the Red Wings picked some kid named Philip Zadina. And I said, wait, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, they picked some kid named Philip Zadina. I'm like, the forward? And he's like, yeah.
It's not possible. You're lying.
Is there another one?
I want to sing this kid's praises, and I love Philip Zadina. You know who else I really liked this season, though? Giovanni Smith, of what we saw of him.
Yeah.
A kid
Good
who
choice.
got out of his draft, basically said he's going to be a maybe bottom six winger. Maybe bottom six winger. Giovanni Smith is a tank on the blue line, Giovanni Smith is a tank on the forward line. Moritz Seider is a tank on the blue line. This kid loves to throw down. He loves to hit people hard, and he can score.
Yes,
That's
he can.
the interesting thing about him. He can slot throughout your line. He's a Swiss Army knife player, and I loved seeing that from Giovanni Smith this season.
I mean,
Moritz Seider is the player, though, who I think we would all agree.
Yeah.
He hasn't donned the wing wheel yet, but if he's even 75% of what we saw in the Swedish Elite League, this kid is going to be a franchise defenseman, Victor Hedman level guy who everyone looks at and says, yeah, I don't want to go against that guy.
oh man, I like your choices. Smith, I love Smith. I will fight for that kid, especially when, a couple years ago we saw the racial abuse he was going through and how he, took it, didn't complain, didn't fall apart. He just kept moving forward, and I will fight for him, even though he doesn't need me to fight for him, because he will drop gloves and beat the piss out of anybody. But he can score. Like we saw his stick handling. When Mantha was struggling in those middle stages of the season, they pulled him out and they put Smith in. And Smith looked like a natural with a guy like Larkin on the first line. Love seeing that. Great pick. Seider. I mean, what more can be said about the Siderator? The Siderator. terminate people, destroy people, Patrick Kane, guys like that. He's just gonna break them in half.
He's not gonna touch Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane's gonna just slide around the ice, and like also if he hits him, that's a star player.
You can't slide past Sider. You've watched the clips. I sent them to you on Twitter. You can't just slide past that man.
The man is a brute force.
A man tried to hit him, and he flew back.
Well, see, that's it. Patrick Kane's never going to try and hit him.
True, very true.
Now, I could see him hit Patrick Kane and then DeBrincat see red and go after him, which is, of course, akin to Andrew Shaw going up against Zdeno Chara. But no, fantastic picks, guys. Zadina makes complete sense to me. He's a phenomenal young gun. And I mean, I love Giovanni Smith. That's the kind of player that I just absolutely, you can't have enough players like him on your team. So I'm glad to see those votes. And Sider is the easy option there. There was no other appropriate option.
I mean, we haven't seen too much of Raymond yet, and I'd love to talk.
Well, that's the thing. Hyped about Raymond, but I mean, realistically, it's Sider. Yeah, it has to be.
This is Zadina and Smith's first nominations and first wins. Sider has 2 wins. God, yeah, I really hope someone falls to us at 6. A guy like Edvinsson, because an Edvinsson with a Sider or an Edvinsson behind a Sider, just having those 2 guys. Whew.
Edvinsson, Sider, Hronek, and Lindstrom. That is a very decent top 4 if they all pan out to scale.
And we're not even including free agency. I mean, Yzerman can work magic with free agency too.
Like Tim, I know you don't really care for him, but Nashville was built from the blue line forward, and when they were good, they were very good.
Yeah, but do they have a cup?
They don't, but you know what? Detroit has superstar forwards where Nashville did not.
I was gonna say, listen, if you want to play this game, I'm all for it. I'm a big defense wins cups guy. However, they don't have a cup because they didn't have a competent forward group.
I mean, look at St. Louis a couple of years ago. Their offense was fine, but it was their defense that
100%.
really won it for them.
Maybe Nashville's just bad.
True, they are. They suck. I hate.
Yeah, maybe it was bad coaching too. I'm not a Laviolette fan. I don't like anything about Nashville.
I mean, as of right now, Tankathon has the Red Wings drafting William Eklund and Chicago drafting Cole Sillinger. But as we know, drafts can change. I mean, Philip Zadina was the 3rd overall consensus pick, and he dropped to 6.
Again, it's going to be so kittywampus when somebody goes off the board and throws everybody's charts off. But that said, this isn't a usual Talking Shop podcast episode. This, my friends, is an awards show. Where's the gravitas? We're building up to the grand event, ladies and gentlemen, and all folks. Are you not entertained?
I am Russell Crowe. I am.
That's all I wanted.
Tim, who would you say are the Blackhawks young or
we already had that.
Yeah, who's it? Brandon Hagel and then
Reichel and Suter.
Reichel and Suter.
Okay, so those awards are done. And then the last award that we have for tonight's show is the season puck, as we call it. It's the MVP award given to the player who best exemplified what it means to support and show really what the club's about. Lead on the ice, not even just on the score sheet, but yes, on the score sheet, as well as in the locker room, and take, these hard situations that both clubs are in a rebuild. Nobody, as we say, nobody likes going through a rebuild, but if you want to be around for the success, you usually have to go through one. That being said, Tim, who's getting the season puck for the Chicago Blackhawks?
Both our teams are going through rebuilds, but I would argue that this was an especially difficult year for the Hawks, losing their captain to an unknown illness, having Jonathan Toews, who is typically the kind of person that you literally just broke down, not having him all year. We saw the veteran presence, locker room presence, and Stanley Cup champion Brent Seabrook retire. We saw Crawford leave. We saw Andrew Shaw, who's another strong locker room presence, have to retire due to concussions. The hits kept coming for us this year, but the true MVP of this year, someone who carried this team on their back when they needed to, who was constantly being double and triple shifted, was the face of the franchise now that many of his counterparts have been leaving, and Duncan Keith is sort of a forest wizard that just sort of disappears from time to time. It has to be Patrick Kane. He's the face of this franchise. He's the MVP on the ice. He absolutely carried this team on his back all year, double and triple and quadruple shifting. He racked up record minutes on ice, and off the ice, he was always available for comment. And he always was positive, looking for ways to go, yeah, we're all in. Like, I'm looking around at these young guys and they're doing things I've never seen before. And it's time for me to, like, I want to do that too. He continues to find ways to elevate his game, continues to find ways to be even better than he was before. I mean, it truly is the legend, Mr. Showtime himself, Patrick Kane, that has to be the Blackhawks MVP this year. No doubts about it in my mind.
Patrick Kane's first nomination of the night and his first win. I mean, yeah, Patrick Kane, he is the star of their team with everybody else gone. I mean, he's not the brick because he's getting older.
Right. He was a brick.
Yes.
Now he's the old house.
Yes. I mean, I would not argue that choice. There's no one else I would pick besides him.
Duncan Keith was definitely one that I considered. Of course, anchoring the blue line, still racked up minutes, but like he has shifted much more into I'm going to take a step back. I am a guiding mentor for a lot of these young guys now. Whereas Patrick Kane is like, no, I'm going to play till I'm 40. Like, let's go.
He's going to yonder it.
Yeah, exactly. He just continues to blow me away with the ways that he gets so creative and just takes the line mates that he works with and says, we're going to work together. He's not a just get the puck to me kind of person. He truly says, okay, who's on my line? What are your skill sets? What are your best things? I want to know you. I want to work with you. His communication is phenomenal. He's a dream player in the way that if you just trust him, he will make you better.
Yeah.
It's a Sidney Crosby kind of David effect that sometimes, you hear professional analysts talk about. They're players who make everyone around them better. And Patrick Kane, one thing that really stood out this season was he started to play a lot better defense. Now, again, was he winning a Selke trophy? Well, no, because
that's not his bag.
That's not Patrick Kane. Like, Patrick Kane loves to score goals and set up goals. But you know what? He also recognized, oops, I don't have Jonathan Toews sitting right next to me to help cover my defensive lapses. Oops, I don't have a very strong blue line who can sort of mitigate the chances that I'm going to basically going to present because of the fact that I'm going for chances too. He really helped define a two-way game that, again, is it the strongest two-way game? No, but it's the fact that the best players in the league, they look at what they're good at, they look at what they're weak at, and they say, how can I evolve not to eliminate what I'm good at, but to help raise what I'm bad at without making sacrifices? And he did that this season with his two-way game, playing defensive. Yeah. Did he still put up great offensive numbers? Yeah, he still put up really good and very respectable offensive numbers. Were they career numbers? No, but again, the defense had to be there, and he stepped up and played defense.
Yeah, he adapted. I mean, it was basically Kane and the kids' table this year, and he was able to adapt his game. And like I said, he's looking at these young players, but he's like, hey, even like scorers play defense now. That's not how the league was when I came in. I want to do that because I want to be the best there is. Yep. And that's, you talk about Crosby and McDavid, the best do that. Crosby spends an entire offseason working on one thing, getting better at it. Kane's the same way, where he's just like, I am going to improve my skill sets and I'm never going to stop. Mm-hmm. I'm blown away by his dedication. I'm blown away by his work. I'm blown away by the way he carries the team, not only talent and like on the ice, but just he is the representative. And there's no one else that could realistically be my MVP season puck pick.
Yeah. Very good.
So this would be Patrick Kane's first win from the Stick Blade Podcast Awards.
You just gonna steal that? So you're gonna
I am
steal
going
that
to
from me?
steal it.
You son of a biscuit.
David, the Detroit Red Wings season puck, who are you awarding it to?
This is tough because we weren't that great this season.
Well, I didn't want to say it.
I thought about this for a while, and I thought, who really stood out to me? I mean, we weren't a high goal scoring team in terms of one player standing out in that aspect. We didn't have a shutdown defenseman that stopped pretty much everybody. So I thought about this, and I thought, looking at my picks that I've made, I'm going to pick someone from there. And the person that I think I would give the season puck award to, Jonathan Bernier.
Okay.
I think Jonathan Bernier was the best player on our team this year. We talked about it before earlier in the show, where he, had amazing stats for a goalie with the crap team that was in front of him. He had high save games, like 40, 50 save games, and one against the Tampa Bay Lightning, the defending Stanley Cup champions, one of the most scary offenses in the league, where he had like 38 something saves before they finally were able to get a goal past him. On any other team, a Boston, a Islanders, a Tampa, whoever, he would have been a Vezina finalist, maybe a Vezina winner. But being on the rinky-dink rebuilding Wings, not so much. But in terms of players on our team, out of everybody I've named tonight, in my opinion, he was the MVP of the Red Wings this season. That's who I'm giving it to.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a surprise guest in store.
I'm getting some pickup. I'm getting some feed live from the Chicagoland area. Ladies and gentlemen, and all folks, the man, the myth, the legend himself, I believe it is our dear Chicagoland host, Nick LePage, joining the podcast. As soon as his screen goes live, I am riffing because I expected it to be on by now. This is the tension is palpable. You could cut it with a knife. Oh my goodness.
Holy
the
crap,
tension
it's
is building-
audio.
While the tension is building, I would like to give my Red Wings season puck to a player as well. Would it be great to give it to Dylan Larkin because he stepped up and was captain this season? Yeah. Would I like to give it to Philip Zadina because he took 0, and this is a very interesting stat. He took 0 penalties this season, despite playing basically the whole season. Would I like to give it to a guy like Luke Glendening because of the fact that he was a great mentor and leader on and off the ice? Yep, I would like to give it to him. But I got to give it to Jonathan Bernier. Bernier is one of those players who, when you look at him and you look at him in a vacuum and you say, this is a player who is very good, and not even just very good, very great for where he's at, what he's having to play through. If he was playing on the Vegas Golden Knights, if he was playing on the Colorado Avalanche, if he was playing on any of these teams that are truly built for a deep playoff run, I think he's a Vezina winner. I think he's a Vezina finalist, a guy who really is, and it's the Chris Osgood thing. People overlook him because of the fact that, you look at the team around him and you're like, Jonathan Bernier was doing individual success. And that's what I think was huge for him this season. Bernier is not sitting in front of a very good defense core or a very good forward core. He's sitting behind a couple good pieces, but not a complete picture. And he's still putting up great numbers at his age. And the thing I love, he wants to stay in Detroit if possible. He said he wants to stay here. He likes it here. And you can say, sure, that's a PR thing. It might be one of those things where his agent told him to because it's good imaging. But I have to assume he's telling the truth. We all have to until we've seen otherwise. Jonathan Bernier was the superstar this season for the Detroit Red Wings when other players were not being the superstar. How could you give it to anybody else?
Mm-hmm. I mean, he wants to stay here. Detroit is a special city. I mean, yes, it's gone through hard times in terms of the economy, all that stuff. But the people, the fans, they love people that put everything they have into it. Like you could not do well, but if you're trying, the fans are going to back you. I mean, and we talked about this before, Matthew Stafford, wrong sport, not hockey. Matthew Stafford, in my opinion, is one of the greatest Lions players of all time besides Barry Sanders. I think he represented the heart of this city. He put this team on his back, his broken back at times, and carried us. So if you are willing to fight for this team, fight for your city, yeah, bring it. Oh my God, it's Nick LePage. His
There he
eyes,
is.
his eyes have healed. The rattlesnake bites have healed his eyes.
I
can't believe it.
What's
were-
up, boys?
We were worried about the rattlesnakes. I'm thrilled. I told people I could not confirm nor deny that rattlesnakes did jump out of your mailbox and get your eyes while you were counting ballots for this award show.
Yeah.
But I could confirm that you were counting ballots and that you'd be here, brother. Here we are.
It was a difficult count. Yeah, I had to get the fan vote in. I had to reach out to my sources, and it was tough. It was tough, but the results are in.
Looks like you sucked the venom out of your eyes. I'm really happy for you. All right.
Yeah.
So
it's a
we're
tough
gonna do,
process.
Nick, we're gonna do a lightning round for you.
Oh, he's gone.
There it is.
All
right.
I had to
So
go.
I'm
I had to
gonna
grab my
give-
notes.
I'm gonna give the award, and I want you to give us who you choose and just a blurb why. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Goaltender of the year.
Goaltender of the year. So wait, let me clarify here, boys. I know I was trying to listen to the episode as I was driving. We're doing with the Hawks and the Wings, right?
Correct, sir.
Only.
So,
Who else
so
are
your
we gonna
vote.
follow here?
Yeah.
Goaltender of
Yeah.
the year, I'm going Kevin Lankinen. He stole games. He kind of degraded at the end of the season, but he was really the heart and soul of the team. He kept that mentality in the locker room and that kind of confidence, and it thrived with the team. So yeah, Kevin Lankinen. I know he wasn't as great as he was at the start of the year, but still he was a big surprise and definitely the best goalie between the two teams.
Very
Bye.
good.
Bye.
I mean, hold on. Better than Bernier? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, what was the record in the regular season?
Don't you play that shit out.
What did Lankinen do against the Red Wings?
No, we don't know. We don't know. I didn't watch that.
He's playing with facts. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I'm not just trying to bully you here. I'm not trying to dummy you around a little bit, but
It's
All
got the
right, sir.
RKO.
Oh, out of nowhere. All right, sir. The Keith Magnuson or Best Defenseman Award. Who is on your list?
I'm so curious.
oh shit. Hold on, gotta go to the notes here, boys. Sorry,
Go on to the notes.
I was struggling here.
It's a tough call. I mean, it's a tough call.
Yeah, no, I have it pulled up. I just give me a second. I have it down on my list. I had the Keith Magnuson going to scroll down.
Building the tension. My God, he's a
scroll
master
down.
wordsmith.
Philip Hronik. I think he was. I mean, it's between him and Connor Murphy. But I thought Hronik had a great season for the Red Wings. Tim, I know you were a big Hronik fan. He was on your.
No, 100%. Big
yeah,
fan of Hronik.
Yeah. So I mean, I was impressed with his game. He kind of is what kept the Red Wings in some games. So, Philip Hronik is probably between him and Connor Murphy. I'd go with Hronik though.
Understood. I voted for Murphy, so I gotcha.
Yeah,
Very
I can't be
good.
too biased here, guys. Come on now.
Very good. Jordan, I'm looking at my list that I made. The next one.
The Brick
was-
Award. This is a really good
Brick.
one. Nick, what player really established themselves, at least in your eyes this season, as a cornerstone piece moving forward for Chicago during their rebuild?
It's got to be Brandon Hagel. It's got to be Brandon Hagel. I mean, he went from a guy that was no name to now he's like a must protect on for the expansion draft. Like
That is true. He
Like-
escalated quickly on that.
yeah, so he's he's that Chicago tough kind of guy. He's just grinding out, pushing through, and yeah, he went from a fourth liner to it's like, well, this guy's got to be on our team next year. We can't lose him. So
I mean, he was even nice enough to make a nice commercial for our podcast too. So, good guy.
Really nice.
yeah,
Really nice guy.
absolutely.
The next one's the diamond in the rough. Isn't that what it is? Or the
Yeah, the uncovered diamond, so to speak.
okay.
Uncovered diamond.
So
Who
can
was
you
the
explain
hidden
that to
gem,
me?
basically?
I mean,
Hidden gem.
Basically, the player who showed the most improvement this season.
didn't have this one on my list. Sorry, boys. Uh,
There's
I'm thinking
a
that.
couple of legitimate
yeah,
options.
there
Like
is.
that's-
We can pick
the
our
hard part.
rattlesnakes earlier. It's okay.
Oof. You know, I'm gonna. As much as I've kind of, shit on him at the beginning of the year, Adam Boquist really improved his game
All right.
throughout the rest of the season. It was good for his development. I know he went down with an injury at the end of the year, but he looked like he was improving. Some time in Rockford helped, and
Definitely.
so those healthy scratches. So, I mean, we need him to be a top 4. So there were some promising stints, and he's looking more confident. And if that continues in the next season, then we might have the guy we were actually looking for.
Yeah. I mean, he
Hold on.
himself said a couple years back when he was drafted that he was like 3 years away.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's been playing in the league the last 2
Yeah.
years.
It's like
So yeah.
you're thrown into a situation you didn't want to be in the first place.
The PA announcer is coming on. Hold on a second, guys. Just to recap, this is Hronek's 3rd award win, Hagel's Bagels' 2nd win, and Boquist's 1st win. Thank you, PA announcer. Appreciate
I
it.
had to get him on the board.
Yeah, you got Boquist. I talked about Boquist for a couple different awards, and just there was always somebody else that I was like,
Yeah.
but I got to give it to so and so.
Yeah, it sucks, but you got to get him in there somewhere.
I'm glad. I'm thrilled he's there.
The next award was a 2-parter. It was the Young Guns Award. So how this award works, Nick, is that you give one to a player who has yet to don the Blackhawks or the wing wheel jersey that you see as being a key component to the team. And the other part of the award is a player that has worn, the sweater, but not for such a long time.
So basically, one for a prospect you're excited about, and one for a rookie
Yes.
or a young player.
Yes. All right. So prospect, I'm Lucas Reichel. I mean,
yeah.
he just won Europe's Young Player of the Year, or he was nominated for Europe's Young Player of the Year. So yeah, Lucas Reichel's definitely the exciting guy. He went from a guy I wasn't really too excited about when we drafted him to like, oh, I can't wait to see him, wearing the Indian hat. So as for wearing,
This
it's
is a hard
it's
one
so
because there's a
tough 'cause
lot
there's
of people.
So many. There's so many. Like you could go Hagel again.
I forgot who I voted for
You
already.
could go
You
Hagel.
picked Kane. No, you picked
It's Kane.
Yeah, he hasn't been around that
you
long.
picked Suter. Pius Suter.
That's right. I was very impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, Suter's a good one. You know what? I'm gonna go Philip Kurashev.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent choice.
Because he's just one of those guys. He's silky. He's a playmaker. He wasn't afraid to attack the net, and add a little more size to him, he could be very dangerous. So, yeah, Kurashev really impressed me because I was banging on the drum to get him in the lineup for the first series against the Lightning.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kurashev really impressed, and he was like top 10 in rookie goal scorers, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You and I were both really, really high on him actually early in the season, which was cool. It was really tough to go between like him and Suter with this one. And again, Kalnick is another option that you could have gone with.
Yeah, I mean, Kalnick's impressive too. I mean, it's just
he got into the lineup and never left.
Yeah, he's stuck.
This is Reichel's 2nd win and Kurashev's 1st win.
Yay.
And finally, the last award for you to choose is the Season Puck Award, your MVP.
I mean,
You already know what it's going to be.
just put it in the chat.
You know
who
it.
I'm-
You
you
know
know
it
who I'm
is.
voting for. Just hold it. Yep, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah, Patrick Kane. I mean, come on, guys. He's a top. I mean, I'm always going to argue he's the best player in hockey, but there is a guy named Connor McDavid out there. I can't be too biased.
How many cups he got?
Yeah, Patrick Kane, MVP of the Hawks. Goal scoring was a bit down, but still, he was all over the place every night. He was always on the score sheet. He finished 2nd in the league in assists, 3rd in the league in assists. So yeah, just an awkward year with the goal scoring being down, but I mean,
Yeah, he was top 5 in points.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
it's
yeah, imagine if he found the back of the net a couple more times. Like,
And we even talked about it. Like he picked up so many defensive responsibilities this year on top of like his usual game that like it makes sense that his scoring was down a little bit.
yeah, he played a more two-way style. I mean, him and DeBrincat both. It's just DeBrincat
Oh my gosh, that was a dream.
was finding
Yeah.
the back of the net. So yeah, I mean, Patrick Kane MVP. You could chalk that
Easy.
in. You could chalk that in the last 13 years of his career. So Yeah, I mean, that was a given.
This is Patrick Kane's second award win of the night. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the man that brought home the most awards for the first annual Stick Blade Podcast Season Awards, Jonathan Bernier with 4 awards. Dun, 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 dun.
I think this scoring is a little fakakta personally, but
Jonathan Bernier, fuck off, Tim.
I deserve that. I deserve that. This is a time for celebration, not a time for judging.
I think David's using a solar-powered calculator in a dark room or something right now.
Accepting the award on Jonathan Bernier's behalf is David Barnhouse. So Jonathan Bernier,
Could be here
great
tonight.
goalie, great numbers. I mean, a lot of people got 3 awards tonight. He was the only one to squeak past those number 3s with a 4. I mean, we had a few guys, looking at my list. Got a 3, 2s, bunch of 2s, bunch of 3s, couple 1s, but Bernier was the only one to get a 4 awards, the first ever Stick Play Podcast Season Awards. The only awards, NHL players really care about. They don't care. They don't care about the TSN. They don't care about the actual NHL awards. Frickin' Darren McCarty in 1996 was like, I want the Stick Blade Podcast Award, even though these guys are either, 6, 7 years old or not even born yet. Like Nick Page over here. He was.
I remember I got a letter in the mail. I could barely read, and yet there I was. Now, I do want to point out, just, as we're pointing things out, Bernier got a lot of votes because there weren't many other people to vote for. And it does certainly seem like the Blackhawks votes were indeed spread out through. I had a different person for every award. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean.
Did Kevin Lankinen have a 50 save goal game? I don't think so.
He might have
got 48.
Actually.
48's not 50. Okay.
I'm not a math magician. I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't. You know what? 48 is kind of cooler.
But, what a season it's been. I mean,
what a season it has been, folks. And
both-
we have been carrying your little victories all through the year. David, I stole your thunder. Please continue with what you were saying.
I mean, little victories. That was our motto the entire season. We both went into this season basically saying we're going to be fighting for the top seed because we both suck. Especially, we thought the Blackhawks were going to be the worst team in the league with all the players you were missing. And you guys almost made playoffs. Like, you were breath of making the playoffs. And the Red Wings, we were in so many games we had no right to be in. We beat Tampa for the first time in Tampa since what, Jordan? 2013?
Oh, what was it? I want to say it was 18 straight games.
So yeah, that takes us back to I want to say it was 2013.
Yeah. So
because I remember I was actually at the game where they finally snapped the losing streak to Tampa, and it was like 18 or 19 games.
And it's been a fun ride. I mean, this group of guys right here, love you guys. This has been fun watching our team and talking about our teams. But when we look at the rebuilds of both of our teams, last year for the Red Wings, in my opinion, I've said this before in previous shows, that was the bottom. That was rock freaking bottom. We were at the bottom of that hill, and that was the lowest of the lows for us. And this year showed that we are starting to work our way back up that mountain. The Blackhawks, I thought this year was going to be your guys', bottom of the bottom. And there was times where it was, but you guys surprised everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you almost made the freaking playoffs with a team of rookies.
Yeah, I mean, it was an impressive year, no doubt. The Red Wings, like you said, David, you nailed it on the head. Red Wings stayed in games they shouldn't have been in, and Hawks were in a position that nobody expected. And even the smart guys that we had on the podcast, Scott Powers and
Right, exactly.
Max Bowman, they're like, yeah, they're going to be bad.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But no, yeah, it was a fun year. And yeah, another season in the books for this podcast.
I love it. What a way to round out the year, and what a way to say thank you to everybody that tunes in and listens to us week in and week out. Again, we could just be yelling into the void if we didn't have people listening to the show. So thank you for that. And, us giving out these awards is just our way of looking at what were those little victories this year? How do we pick out some of the really genuinely exciting players and exciting things that are happening in the midst of these rebuilds and whatnot?
And that's the thing. At the end of the day, it was a kind of a hard season to look at for both of the clubs. It's a rebuild. It's not fun to sit on the outside of the playoff picture looking in and not being a part of it. But you got to hit the bottom eventually. As they say, sports, it's a roller coaster. You got to work up to the top of the hill. And the teams are both working up towards the top of the hill. But you know what? The climb is also kind of part of the fun of this whole sports thing.
Oh yeah.
AC/DC
sure.
once said it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. So
That's it
I
exactly.
mean, that's words to live by.
yeah, I mean it's gonna take some time, but
I'm gonna get you drunk.
Oh.
You drunk on my lady.
isn't that Black Eyed Peas?
That's also something people say.
Yeah,
It's true.
I don't know the last time I said it, but I said it eventually.
I'm
a lot of
sure I
my-
did.
I was rapping that.
Let's get it
song.
started in here, boys. Let's get it started.
All I know is I'm getting started cheering for Montreal because as we shift away from the Blackhawks and the Red Wings seasons,
Hell yeah.
we do have to look towards the Stanley Cup final. That is the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And of course, I got to pull for Montreal because there's
Of
no way I
course.
want another back-to-back champ. Forget about
No,
it.
Heck no.
Ooh, I don't
So-
know. I don't
No.
know. I'm sorry, boys.
No.
I'm not. It's like I don't have a dog in the fight, but I gotta be. I mean, I have to be cheering on Tampa. I
Oh
can't.
my
I-
god.
for some reason-
Why?
I cannot stand the Montreal Canadiens.
Okay, that's fair.
I can't stand Corey Perry. Can't stand the Canadians in general. I like a few players on the
Carey
Canadians.
Price, bro. Carey Price.
I don't mind Carey Price. It's kind of cool though. Like he's the only player in the playoff besides Kucherov, I guess now. But one of the rare guys that are getting paid more than 10 million. That's actually advanced
Yeah.
this far.
Mhm.
That is a huge.
Toronto
That is
Maple
actually a
Leafs
very
take
interesting.
notes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Toronto burn it down now.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, truth be told, if it was Toronto versus Tampa, I'd be pulling for Tampa.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. It all depends on who's in.
It's just fun
Uh,
watching the Leafs struggle. It honestly
Oh
is.
yeah.
It is. It is.
Tampa had 5.
Do I
though.
do I go in our outro song, Jordan? Or you got anything else to say before I
What-
jump into my outro song?
Did you guys talk about what's? I mean, I know you talked about it probably last week, but
Yeah, we haven't covered any news this week.
all right, we're waiting. We'll save that for next week.
Yeah, we'll say that. This is
because
the
we do.
award show.
If
We
it's
don't
what I
do
think
news.
about,
There's
we
gonna be
did
more-
cover
Yeah,
a
We
lot
don't
last
do
week.
news on the award show. Okay, this is the first annual Stick Blade Awards. We don't
All right.
just
All right. Speaking of
F around.
awards, who do you guys have winning Conn Smythe?
Carey Price.
I
If,
gotta say Price.
Price.
even if Montreal loses. Oh,
Oh,
you guys,
no,
Even if Montreal
you guys think
loses.
Montreal wins?
I think Montreal wins. That said, gosh, it's Point might be a very realistic. Either Point or Vasilevsky, I think, would be
Point
realistic.
won it last year, didn't he?
Hedman won it.
Hedman
late.
won
Hedman won it. I knew it was one of them.
So
Yeah.
I think it's either going to be Point or Vasilevsky if Tampa
Yep.
wins, but I think the Canadians are going to win.
I hope so.
I'm
I
gonna,
do.
I'm gonna say it's Braden Point, 9 goals in 9 straight games or something like that. He scored.
I
in
mean,
9
Point
straight
makes
play-
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So
Point
hey,
win the points.
hey,
Points
yeah.
getting them points. Anything else to say before I jump into the outro, Jordan?
I
Gotta
think that is
end it.
it. Again, just everybody, thank you for tuning into the show. This has been the first edition of the Stick Blade Podcast Awards. And it's hard being in a rebuild, but you know what? Stuff like this makes it kind of bearable. It makes it fun for us and makes it fun for fans. So you got to celebrate something at the end of the day. And why not have a little bit of fun with it? Just because of the fact that we don't get to watch the playoffs and really have a dog in the fight.
It's the Stick Blade Awards, the end of the season awards. We don't give them to every team, just the Red Wings and the Blackhawks, because that's the only teams we care about. It's the season award.
God, I missed this.
Bum, bum, bum.
There
with
it is,
that
ladies
being
and gentlemen.
said- That being said, this has been another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. In the meantime, let's go enjoy the Stanley Cup playoff finals. It's a fun time to watch, even though, again, neither of us are in it, but it's a fun thing to watch,
John Merrill.
the best in the world play on the biggest stage at this point. We're looking forward to the off season, just a couple of different potential content ideas that we have for you guys, just sort of, moving into that period of the off season. And again, hopefully some news on the league front, just with the expansion draft for the Seattle Kraken, the NHL entry draft. It's going to be an interesting offseason compared to a lot of the other off seasons for the past couple of years. And we're looking forward to, talking about it with you guys. And again, some of the different avenues of content that we want to supply. But again, with that being said, again, everybody, you take care of each other, take care of yourself, stay safe. And thank you for tuning into this show and watching it, listening. At the end of the day, this is a podcast. It's by fans. It's for fans. There's no corporate sponsors. Anybody saying what we can and cannot say. It's really just a fun time for us, and we enjoy having fun with you all when you guys engage with us on this show. So if you have any sort of feedback, critique, questions, comments, whatever, there are ample ways you can get in contact with us. You can get in contact with us via Twitter. This Twitter handle is @StickBladePod, all one word, no underscores or anything like that. You can get in touch with us on Facebook, on YouTube, or on both of those platforms. You can find us on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/StickBladePodcast. You can email us, stickbladepodcast@gmail.com. We're on Apple Podcasts at this point as well. So just however you get your podcast fix or your video podcast forms, we're on there. Feel free to give us any sort of like feedback or anything like that. We really love enjoying and engaging with you guys. So please do that in the future if you get the chance and you want to. Again, for your host tonight, Jordan Linscott, and for my co-host, Tim Stompanato, David Barnhouse, and Nick LePage, this has been another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast and a unique episode of the Stick Blade Podcast. Take care, everybody. We'll see you guys later.